name is Jose Trujillo. That's Josetrujillo. I'm a fine art artist, and I'm coming to you from my art studio to talk to artists, okay, in general, just the creative type. And this one is a bit of an art advice for you guys. You might heard this from someone else, or maybe you said it yourself. Who knows? My art media, or media of art, doesn't sell well, or doesn't sell regularly. This is it's an excuse, and you don't know that it's an excuse. Maybe you think that you have sufficient information to believe that. The information that maybe you've gathered, it's a lot of the times is mental. It's stuff that we create, and then we just look for things to back it up. We're constantly looking. Oh, see, that's why. Oh, see, that's why. You're just kind of sniffing out something that's going to back up my idea, right? It's not true. I'm here to tell you it's not true. I was looking for an angle to tackle it, but I'm just going to say it. It's not true. It's a mental position that all it's doing is just turning slowly into a victim. See, what most people think is artists think is that are not successful, and meaning successful, it's because they're not completely engaged in their vision, they're not hands-on. They're doing a lot of thinking, a lot of talking, but they're not really hands-on. What happens is that for the most part, artists that are not doing anything, or that are just talking or imagining how things could work, start becoming victims slowly. They don't know that this is what's happening. I know I've been there myself, but you don't know that this is happening to you because you start seeing evidence everywhere. You're like, well, if I painted abstract, I'd sell it like hotcakes. I'd sell it more, Or if I don't know, if I painted realism, everybody would like it, but no one understands my cubist, approach, or Dali-esque, hyper-realism with a mix of this and a touch of that. and people seem to think, or if I could paint like this guy, he knocks them out in 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, in an hour, I don't know. He knocks them out right away, and I would be selling like him, but I can't because my work takes time, it's a different thing. Then do something else. Then or market more, or it's a victimization, and that will only create resentment towards the industry, resentment towards others, resentment towards even your own work. You start going like, oh, why am I doing this? I should be doing something else. Or I should be, like I mentioned before, an abstract painter. Or I should be singing country rather than doing rock and blues. Or I don't know. Well, the grass is always greener somewhere else, And I'm here to tell you it's not true. It's a mental position that you have found evidence because you've been sniffing the evidence. You're looking for something to back that up. And it's not true. There is a market for everything. Yes, there's markets that seem to be bigger for other things, but that does not mean that just because you paint like that or you take those types of photographs, then you're going to be complaining about there's too much competition. See, it doesn't matter what you do, there's always going to be something to complain. If the market's too little, my stuff is too original and too avant-garde, then there's very little market, right? There's very little collectors, right? That's the perceived idea. It's not true, but that's the idea that we get. That's the false idea. If my stuff is too original, there's very little collectors, very little market for it. If my stuff is too commercial, then there's all this market for it. But now you're going to be complaining about all the competition. The people from eBay, from this, from that, they're all competing. The people from Etsy, and they're selling their stuff so cheap and this and that, blah blah. You're gonna start hearing all these ideas, and it's not true. What happens is that no matter where you are, give it your best, give it your all. It doesn't matter what you're doing. we tend to think it's some exterior thing, but it really comes down to us. It always will come down to us. It's not the market, it's not the competition, it's not it's not the way you paint, it's not what you paint. So don't say stuff like that. Don't say stuff like that, especially to yourself. Of course, don't say it to others. It's just going to be a repetition of what's running in your head. Give it your best, give it your all. No matter what you're doing and how big you think the market is or how small, give it your all. I mean, look at artists like Crystal, and Mary Jane. Is there a market for that? Did he ever think about that? No, he just did. I've heard Chuck Close also talk about that. He wasn't thinking about the market for it. He just gave it his best. In one of the interviews, he's saying, I wasn't thinking about market. Of course not, because he's a pro. He was giving it his best. And then the market will come, because of that. My name is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist. Thank you so much for watching.